race, conversations, and law enforcement. This is Moses' People Speak. Welcome to another episode of Moses' People Speak. I am your host, Terry Watson, the founder of the Battle with Moses People. Once in a while, a movie, a show, or a documentary comes along which truly challenges our sense of humanity. We find ourselves in a predicament in which we question our society and those responsible for its order. I recently found myself in this situation. If you haven't watched the 4-part Netflix series When They See Us, directed by Ava DuVernay, please do. I will admit the first 20 minutes is very difficult to get through, and some may even turn away. But please do watch it because it is necessary. Let's take a look at the trailer for this movie.
Is my mom here?
It's just us. You and us. Who you were in the park with?
I don't know names. I just got lost.
Where did you see the lady?
One lady.
The female jogger was severely beaten and raped. Every black male who was in the park last night is a suspect. I need all of them.
What's going on with my son?
Your son was involved in a rape in Central Park.
What? No,
Wait a minute. Wait a second.
They saw you rape the lady.
I didn't see a lady or hit anyone.
I didn't see any lady.
Kevin.
I didn't see any lady.
I want to see my son right now. Right now.
Whatever they said I did, I didn't.
I know.
Zoning on the road.
Nothing these boys state matches the central facts of the crime. All we need is for one to tie this whole thing together.
These tapes are not as clean as the state would have you believe.
There is injustice happening here.
There is not one shred of evidence.
Imagine the frenzy of these teenagers ripping off her
They
clothes.
are innocent of these
They
crimes.
are guilty.
Why you doing us like this?
What other way they ever do us?
And I haven't looked back
I've been having these dreams.
since I made
I keep hearing these footsteps. And they coming closer and closer. That's me. Coming to bring you home. They said if I went along with it, that I could go home. And that's all I wanted.
The police will do anything. Lie on us, they will lock us up, they will kill us.
This is my life.
I don't think we should admit to something that we didn't do.
Okay, we keep fighting.
Everyone, I want to welcome Cynthia Jones to the show, Moses People Speak. Cynthia, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Hello.
All right, Cynthia.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. Now, Cynthia, again, the biggest, I guess, problem that I've had recently with discussing this show is some people are saying they can't get through it. You know, it's really causing them some anguish. So let me ask you, what was your first reaction to the show?
I watched. So it was part 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
I watched the first 20 minutes, and I had to turn it off.
And you know,
But now, mind you, I watched another documentary because I had the pleasure of having Yusef and Sister Salam, his mom, come up to Mount Vernon. I think that was like in 2015.
Right.
And there's another film called Central Park 5.
Right.
And it was the same reaction where I had to walk out. I also walked out on the Khalif Browder showing. I think I was in at NYU.
Right.
And they started showing it. I had to walk out.
Wow. And
so
go ahead.
With that said, so I did the first 20 minutes, and then I turned it off.
Right.
And then I came back to it, and then I watched it all the way through. When I started, then I watched it all the way through. I would think I was up to like maybe 2:00 in the morning, and I just watched it all the way through.
Yeah, I had to watch it all in one sitting. Like, I couldn't take a break. I put it on. I started that first 20 minutes. And again, I'm from New York, born and raised, grew up there. And, it hit home for me, obviously, but watching that first 20 minutes, I have a 15-year-old son. And that's the first thing that came to my mind. Like, these are kids. They're not adults. They're kids. And so that first 20 minutes was rough. But I had to sit down and watch the whole thing in one shot, because I honestly felt if I took a break or I stepped away, I wasn't going to come back.
Right.
So let me, Cynthia, again, what do you think are some of the takeaways from the narrative of the Exonerated Five?
I
know that's a pretty loaded question.
The first takeaway as a mother of two sons, right?
Right.
Okay, so I have a 20-year-old and I have an 18-year-old. So as a mother of two sons, as an educator of black boys, because we have to keep it 100, right? As a educator of black boys, black and Latino boys, I used to teach all boys from year 2006 to 2013. We had a co-ed school with single gender classes. And one of the students that I taught was Ramali Graham, who was murdered by NYPD. So in that teaching of them, one of the things that we had to start teaching them, and I say this with a lump in my mouth, we had to teach them what to do when you were approached by the police.
Wow.
So, I've eavesdropped on individuals. I was in the nail salon the other day. I heard this lady talking about it. I did not become a part of her conversation. I just let her talk so I could hear. And she said that will never happen to my son.
Yeah.
Well, at that time, with what was going on, when you look at the narrative, you had, out of 5 boys, 1 mom was like, nah, it's not going down like this.
Yep.
That happens like that very often. Because Salam knew her rights.
Right.
You have a lot of individuals, my brother, that don't know their rights.
Right.
Because they think that this is the land of the free, the home of the brave.
Right.
So I had to teach the principal that we had. His name was Vaughn Thompson. He made sure that retired Black and Latino, 100 retired Black and Latino officers used to come to our school and teach the boys what to do when they were approached by the police.
And what year was? I'm sorry, Cynthia. What year was that again?
Between year 2006 and 2013, which was the height of stop and frisk.
Yes. And the reason why I asked the year, Cynthia, you know, Brother Damian Jones. I had him on Moses People Speak about a couple of months ago, and we were actually talking about specifically the pamphlet "What to Do When You're Stopped by a Police Officer."
Yes.
And then at that time, he said the police fraternity that he's a part of, they moved to how to survive being stopped by a police officer. Now you know that to me, and in my conscience, I'm thinking, can you imagine being a brother in blue going into the community to say how to survive being stopped by someone like me?
Yeah.
That by itself is mind-boggling. Now you mentioned a couple of times here about meeting Brother Youssef's mother. What was that experience like?
She was rather she is. See, I've had the pleasure of being in her presence to interview her on People Before Politics, and I've also had the pleasure of sitting next to her in rallies, right, against police brutality. And in meetings, sat in their home with them. And so the honesty, it takes a lot of courage to tell individuals this story.
Right. It does, yeah.
See, and when, she's at the point now where she tells the story, she shares her story, but when she shares her story with certain individuals like myself as a mother, I become very emotional.
Right.
Because I can only fathom. She said she used to have to, she said, you know what she said? She said, one of the things that really bothered me and still haunt me is the plethora of death threat letters that she used to get.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I had the pleasure of meeting Brother Youssef Salam about a couple of years ago, and he also expressed at that time the hate mail that he received. And again, this was when he was very young. This is not, we're talking to the adult Salam these days, but this, when I think back to the 80s, to stop and frisk, I even talked about the experience of having being stopped and frisked myself in New York, and one gentleman told me if the stop and frisk actually works in keeping you safe, what's the problem? And I said, well, trust me, if you ever been stopped and frisked, no one feels safe in that, but again, as a teenager, getting that kind of hate mail, getting that kind of, that hate in general, it definitely plays on the psyche,
Yes.
And
could you imagine? I went to a anti-Trump rally in Manhattan, and I was videotaped. And then the person who videotaped me, the little dialogue, told me that they were going to send me the link, and it was a live footage that they did, right?
Right.
So I got home and I checked it out. Man, you should have seen the comments that those people were writing as I was talking. It was very alarming.
Wow.
It was very alarming. It was uncomfortable. And I was uncomfortable the entire time while I was and I've been to all kind of protests. But that one right there, I felt that I could have went to jail.
Wow.
And so if I felt like that, could you imagine little boys reading hate mail?
Man. And so here's another thing, Cynthia. and I think this is one of the reasons why I connected with you too about sitting and discussing this with me. When I watched the 4-part series, the character Linda Fairstein. Now you know she's received some backlash from the show, and I must admit I've been one who talked about how can someone do something like this and get sleep at night, you know. Because the fact of the matter is, and I was reading a lot of comments last night online, people were saying the whole narrative of, oh, she was just doing her job. Now, here's what sort of tipped me over the edge. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but here's what tipped me over the edge about specifically the Linda, the DA, was, let's say that she was an advocate for sexual assaults and crimes, and she approached every case like this. The thing that tipped me over the edge was that she was also on a council for Harvey Weinstein. And my first,
I didn't know this.
Yeah, so
continue.
One of the reasons, and you can look this up too, one of the reasons why Harvey Weinstein was not charged with the accusations of one of the models was because Linda Fairstein was sort of the friendly advisor to his counsel. Now, when I read that story, and I said to myself, wait a minute, so she has the initiative to defend Harvey Weinstein, and at the same time, she well, you know where I'm going with this.
Right, I know what's going.
Yeah. So my question is, and I know you've sort of been talking about some of the movements that's been trying to find justice in regards to Linda Fairstein. What's being done right now? And I know the one thing that was going on was the taking her down from the Hall of Fame in Mount Vernon High School. Yeah. So what's happening down there?
So what's happening? Right, I'm a resident of Mount Vernon for 50 years, and I received a text message at night. So this had to be like maybe 5 or 6 days ago. Mm-hmm. I received the text message at night, and it was somebody took a picture of Linda inside of Mount Vernon High School on their Wall of Fame. And then, the verbiage and the it was like a group chat type of thing. So I woke up to it. I didn't see it when it was going on.
Wow.
I woke up to it, and some individuals said, they are kind of afraid to say something because they work for the government of Mount Vernon or work in the school system, et cetera, and so forth. So, I mean, I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So by 7 a.m., I posted it.
Wow.
On social media. Around 7:30, two of my friends did a change.org. Right?
Mm-hmm.
With the petition. Right. And then we just started blasting it. Wow. Every often, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and the children started, the boys started to circulate it. And yesterday, she was taken down off of the Wall of Fame.
Wow.
But we're not finished, because we want in that place to be highlighted that it was it's Central Park 5. Mm-hmm. They need to be honored in that place. And there needs to be verbiage as to why she was removed.
Right. Wow.
Understand? So you're not just going to remove the individual and then that's it.
Right.
And put another picture there. No. In that spot right there needs to be the Central Park 5. and there needs to be a plaque of verbiage as to why the individual who was there was removed.
Right. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah. And you know, the idea that that she was up on the Hall of Fame, that she retired and had the career she had as an author. A lot of that was based on the wrongful conviction of.
You know what's interesting about that? Just to interrupt you.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about that? They settled in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
She never came out. Like,
yep.
You know, she didn't come out in 2014. It's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It's 5 years later. She didn't come out in 14 hard body saying, no, you know, our review of the record suggests that, you know, what we did was correct, given the circumstances which they were confronted. It was correct. There's no inaccuracies. She never said anything like that.
Right.
From 2014 until right now.
Right. Yeah, I always think about this. She got her, if it's a sort of the reaction, she got her hands caught in a cookie jar. And, you know, and what I mean by that is, I don't think she cared about the justice of the five brothers. I think that, or she really cared about was the popularity that she was currently receiving. And then when this the documentary, not documentary, when the movie came out, now and it started to impact her popularity. Now she wanted to say something. But you know what? I honestly, that I have, in my personal feelings, I don't have any sorrow for this. None at
all.
No, because
one of the things that we chant, when we're protesting is indict, convict, bring the killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. You need to indict this person, convict, and put them in jail. This lady and many others interrupted the soul of 5 black boys.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the conversations that we often have when we are talking about NYPD in particular murdering police officers, criminal activities, right? And then you have this magic figure that they keep coming up with when they do, you know, okay, so we give the victims, the survivors, we give them $3 million, $3 million, $3 million, $3 million. So how did you come up with this figure, right? What made you come up with this figure? And so individuals said they look at the person's past, they look at them going to school, and they calculate approximately how much they would have actually made in life if they didn't get murdered. Who tells you, it gives you the authorization to define? Did you? What? Wait, I said, wait a minute.
Oh, well, you know what?
I'm telling you, I was completely flabbergasted. I said, so they feel as though that Ramali Graham was just going to make $3.5 million in his lifetime, and that's what they're going to give? Wow. And how is it that every single individual who they murder, they give that same amount of money to? It's like a magic figure. Wow. Who tells you this? How do you know that he's not going to be a Jay-Z and make $1 billion? How do you know that?
Yes, and let me tell you. Now, I don't want to go off topic here about the when they see us, but I was following the case in Minnesota. Now, I went to Minnesota. I think it was a week or two after the shooting death of Philando Castile, and I was just out there just talking to folks. You know, now. I can't remember the amount of money that was provided to the survivors of that shooting. But the reason why I bring that up, it was a lot more. It was a lot less than the one that was provided recently to the.
Yeah.
I think she got 20 million, and I can't remember how much she got, but it wasn't double figures. And so I started asking that same question: is how does someone determine the value of our lives?
It's a zip code. It's like the zip code. The zip code determines the richness of the school education. Come on, man. Come on.
My gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow. All right.
When Romali Graham, the reason why I met Yusef was because of Romali Graham. So Romali Graham was murdered by NYPD. There was a rally, and at that rally was Damon K. Jones from Black Law Enforcement of America,
right.
Kenneth Chamberlain Jr., whose father was murdered by White Plains Police Department, Yusef, right? Yusef was there.
Right.
And so we were all standing around and we took a picture. So then later on, Damon called me and Damon was like, we were saying the wrong Yusef name at first, right? We were saying Yusef from Coney Island.
Okay.
Right, so I said no, that's the wrong. I said that dude is dead, man. I said that's the wrong Yusef, man. I said it's a different Yusef.
Right.
So he was like, so then Kenneth Chamberlain was like, I met Yusef because Kenneth Chamberlain used to work in the jail.
Wow.
And he met him in the jail.
Wow.
And so then we started putting it together, and then after that, it was just like, whatever you need, whatever you want us to do, we got your back, and it just, the relationship just soared like that. But just to think of,
and you also know another one too. You mentioned too.
Rape Santana.
Rape Santana. Yeah. Wow.
Santana, and then like I started following them.
Right.
If I knew that they were going to be somewhere, if I saw an advertisement, I'd just go.
Right.
Just out of due respect where respect is due. We're talking about respect because I don't clearly understand how a set of adults would do something like this to some children, but here we go. You have Emmett Till. You have Scottsboro brothers.
Yeah.
Right? You have a plethora of individuals who've went through the same. Khalif Browder.
Wow.
Why, I don't understand why these individuals they prey on them with an E. That which what they did was 100% wrong. That was not your job.
Right. And I absolutely agree. Cynthia, before I let you go, I want to, because I know you do a lot of work with kids, and
right.
One of the and I'll give a shout out to this program, Let Girls Learn. I think that's absolutely brilliant, and I've been following you in regards to that beautiful initiative, but then and speaking as a parent too, what are some of the things our kids should be aware of? And I'm referring to the situation that we were able to see from this movie when they see us. What should our kids take from this?
So the charge is for us to love more than what we're loving. And in loving comes with caring, watching, talking, being there. Because I am not saying that the parents of the Central Park 5 boys did not love them. But in the conversations, see, with love come conversations, right? So in the conversations, your conversations should start changing a little bit. And they're difficult conversations, man.
Right.
We're talking about difficult conversations. We're talking about interrupting what individuals want to happen to our children.
Right.
So that means that we have to have difficult conversations. We have to have conversations about what happens when somebody pick you up. What are you supposed to do? One of the things that I tell parents, in your child's phone should be at least 10 numbers that they can call.
Right.
And those people should know that if there's an emergency, your child is going to call them.
Right.
Damon K. Jones' phone number is in both of my sons and his wife, Montika Jones, because she's a detective.
Right.
Their numbers is inside of their phone. If there is a problem and you cannot get in contact with mommy and daddy, call Uncle Damon, call Auntie Montika, call them and tell them that you need help.
Mm.
And so we need to start having conversation parties where you invite adults from your family and the children, and y'all sit around in the living room and you have a conversation. That is love.
Right.
So we have to increase the love, because once we increase the love, we increase their knowledge of what should happen and what shouldn't happen, what I should do and what I shouldn't do.
Wow. Cynthia, that's amazing advice. You know, I love that. I love all of that. Wow. All right. Well, Cynthia, you know, I'm conscious of time. I want to say thank you for discussing this with me. Again, I'm really hoping that this movie can bring about some change, and I see that it's slowly beginning to take off with that with removing Linda Fairstein from the Hall of Fame, her publisher dropping her. I'm hoping to see not just that kind of change, but also some policy change as well.
Yes.
Regarding what police are not allowed to do regarding our children. But again,
so one of the things, just to interrupt you real quick, one of the things for Mount Vernon Public School is on the table is that they're going to change the way the Wall of Fame operates. The Wall of Fame, if you see somebody up there, or they somebody that's going to be in charge of, or whatever department in the Mount Vernon Public School system, what department is in charge of the Wall of Fame and the updating of it. Right. And if there's someone who does not belong on there, they will be stripped off of it. Goodbye.
And also,
yeah,
and also saying, like you said before, and also why were they taken down? Because that's just as important, and I think that's a really important point. We talk this country, and one of my guests in the future is going around the country regarding and protesting the Confederate statues. And one of the things that is really important, and I want to make sure people understand this, is if you're removing something like a statue or a plaque, to make history count is to explain why. And in that space, that's a brilliant idea. I think that's a really brilliant idea. Yes. Well,
right.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to powwow with you this afternoon.
Absolutely.
And I enjoy any, conversations that are needed to happen. Hopefully, down the line, we will see sessions being conducted, especially with our boys that are part of the My Brother's Keeper, which is an initiative from Barack Obama.
Right.
To start, the boys are going to start watching this, and other individuals are in the room having the conversation with them, because this is deep.
Yeah, it is, and I've actually shared publicly a couple of times the conversation that I had with my son regarding police shootings, and and I talk about this all the time. And even with that conversation, I was caught off guard because my son's a pretty bright kid, and he was quickly to identify the reason why we was having this discussion. And this was even at a very young age. So I think that's really important, is that we are, as parents, prepare, willing, able to have these difficult conversations with our kids, because it could be it could be life or death, and or freedom in this case. So right,
this could be you.
Yeah.
So we have to continue having the conversation, continue being mindful, and like I said, love equals time and conversations.
Oh, I love that. Well, that's gonna be the last word, Cynthia. Hey, Cynthia, thank you for your time, and folks, remember to speak power through truth. Everyone, you have a good night.